You're the first person that I've heard mention office, and that doesn't mean anything because I just don't hang around a lot of office investors. What are you seeing in the office space? Because I mean, office was disproportionately hit hard with COVID,
Sure.
um, and we've got recession clouds kind of looming, which may cause folks to pull back in that. But what are your thoughts there? What are you seeing?
Well, we're seeing prices depressed in office. I can buy a real strong cap rate pretty much anywhere in the country right now on a nice office building. Now, I'm talking about office buildings of a size of say 50,000 to 150,000 square foot. In that size, you're seeing things that are 30% occupied to 80% occupied, and most of them closer to the 30 to 50 range.
Yeah.
There is a lot of issues in the office space. Now, we've got a 74,000 square foot building in the energy corridor of Houston. That is a really hard hit submarket for office. That submarket is sitting somewhere in the low 70s for occupancy rate, but our building is somewhere in the high 80s. And I think by the end of the year, with all of the conversations we have going with various tenants, I think we'll be back to 100 again, which is where we've been for the last year and a half. So, like your last speaker talked about, things cycle differently depending on asset class and geography. As far as Houston and San Francisco aren't going to do the same thing at the same time. We could also take that down to the micro level of submarket as well. In, let's say, a Houston or a San Francisco. And then we can take it down even further to building. They're not going to do the same thing. The way
Yep.
they are managed, the way they are handled, the way they're maintained, the way they are leased, advertised, all of those things have an effect. So I think that lends itself to why you can see a particular building in a hard hit submarket still excel and do real well.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, as long as you're knowing how to underwrite, you've got your stress test performed and good upside wins ahead, and you're planning long term. It's definitely very smart. Um, Say like maybe switching to the residential side because on the from a lending perspective, you've got a good pulse on that market. And maybe let's focus on the single family. Um, where are you seeing that over, say, the next 3 years? So this is macro. Next 3 years, you work with a lot of house flippers, also landlords. I'm sure a lot more landlords these days than house flippers. But where are you seeing that market?
Well, I think, well, first of all, let me say I don't have a crystal ball. So I can't see 3 years out. I don't think anybody can. If I were to just guess, and I think at that point, that's what anybody's doing, I would say that single family is still going to be a real strong market um, in the places that people are moving to. Again, I hate to keep going back to Sarah, but dang, she was spot on with everything she said, because you want to be where people are moving to.
Get in the
So
way of progress.
yeah, you want to get in the path of progress. And so I think a Houston, a Dallas, pretty much anywhere in Texas, Florida, except for some of the places that have really, really just grown exponentially, like Miami and some of the other larger cities over there. Those places, we're going to be good. We're going to be good over the next 3 years. There is still a lack of housing in this country. Now, I would argue, a lot of people say, well, housing prices can't come down because of the supply and demand. I would argue against that. I think I'd have a good argument against that philosophy. I think the people that are thinking that way are not going to be hedging enough, and they may get crushed in this looming recession, because the media drives demand. And when you have the media with every single article talking about how real estate is crumbling, real estate is falling, real estate is crashing, that will drive demand up that fast. And you'll start seeing people combine households again, just like we did in 2008 and 2009. All of a sudden, all that demand that we thought we had disappears. It doesn't go away, it just disappears for a while. It'll disappear until the crisis is over, until the recession is over. Then those people want to move away from mom and dad again, or mom and dad want to get away from the kids and
Yeah,
grandkids again. And all of a sudden, we'll have new
like a
house
cookie.
formations again.